What's going on, everybody? Yes, indeed, it is your boy, the legendary host of your legendary podcast, the D-constructingTopics podcast. And what's going on today? Today we got fun one. For those of my beautiful people that remember, long time ago, channel ABC Network here in New York City was Channel 7. I had a Friday night lineup of comedy shows, funny family comedy shows, and the lineup was very legendary because it was called the TGIF. Yes, TGIF lineup, Family Matters, Full House. We're going to be talking a little bit of it all, and we're going to got a little tidbit, but once again, hit that like, comment, and feel free to share. I'm on Teagles TV. I'm on YouTube. I'm all over the place. Your boy, the legendary. Ow! Ooh. Oh, yeah, we're going to have a good one. TGIF. It is not Friday as I'm recording this. And yes, a lot of people, and I'm going to say this, for those people who remember these shows as the Full House, Family Matters, you remember Family Matters, Urkel? Did I do that? Oh, my goodness. Wow. TGIF, Friday shows. Actually, TGIF, I'm going to give you a little something that's going to blow your mind. TGIF, in that concept of these TV shows, actually stood for Thank Goodness It's Funny. Yes, people was like, what? I thought it was Thank God It's Friday. You could say it is, but it was more not word on play with Thank God It's Friday, but it's actually Thank Goodness It's Funny. And I believe that these commercials in the beginning of the late 80s, where it says Thank Goodness It's Funny. Because it is something that I grew up in growing up here in the United States. It's one of those things as a kid. I always looked forward for Friday. Yeah, it's Friday. And in a time where they just say for the young folks out there, for those people who might not have, cable was not a thing in people's household. We have to put the little antenna, the TV antenna, whatever it is. And then Fridays was always that thing as a young kid. You couldn't wait until Fridays. You just want to just go to sleep late, then wake up early to watch the Saturday cartoons. But what better way to start but then the TGIF TV lineup of ABC network, and what a lineup. And me growing up once again in the United States in the late 80s. I couldn't look forward for these shows. Especially, Channel 7 in my part. I don't know where, if you're listening to this, I'm not sure what ABC or what channel it was in your town, city, or whatever it is. But those TGIF Friday, let's go, my goodness. And let's start the show, shall we? Ooh, 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 ooh. Let's get it. Yes. All right. So, one of the shows that I remember. But we making it happen. But Perfect Strangers. Now, Perfect Strangers was the a show of these two perfect strangers from Chi-Town, Chicago. It was a good show. We had a couple of people there, doing that thing, or whatever it is. But yeah, I do remember one of them name is Balky, which is the quirky European, I believe, individual. So it was these two men who decided to live together, and they were strangers, whatever it is. It was a good show, and it was the first show in the lineup that I remember in the TGI Friday. I really enjoyed Perfect Strangers. Followed by, so now Perfect Stranger would be the 8 o'clock, then followed by Full House. Full House, you already know that Full House started Bob Saget and a lot of folks out there. You already know you got, what's his name? Is it Joey? Cut It Out. I think that's it. You guys remember, Cut It Out. Oh, the uncle, Full House, it was that show because it was a single father, you know what I mean? Raising his daughters, and then you have the uncle, the cool uncle, the other cool uncle, kind of funny guy. You had the daughters and so on, and then you had the twins where we playing the character one, the Olsen twins. Full House was a beautiful show. It was a cool show. It was learning. There's sometimes as a young kid, watching those shows, you'd be like, oh my goodness. And Full House was one of those shows in the second that you would be like, oh, this is so cool. Then followed by Mr. Belvedere. Now I'm looking at a list of when and where these things came out. Mr. Belvedere was interesting because Mr. Belvedere was a butler Man, he was from England, I believe, and it was not bad. But the character or the was a funny dude, Mr. Belvedere. I think at this point I'm like, okay. But in the late '80s, once again, you got Full House, and then for those people out there who remember, now keep in mind it's this. For those people out there who remember, Family Matters. Ooh, Urkel. Oh my goodness, Urkel is Urkel, the legendary Urkel, played by Jaleel White, I believe his name is. And it was an interesting show. My understanding when it comes to Family Matters, because I was doing a little bit of kind of research on these kind of, these little wonderful, beautiful episodes. That's why you got to hit that like, comment, and feel free to share. Because my name is David. And I'm your boy. You're legendary. But Family Matters, my understanding is that the show became the Urkel show. For those people out there who know the character Urkel, he stands because he's this quirky, nerdy kid, with the pants all the way up to his belly button and so on. So it's an interesting show because my understanding is that the show was not about him. It was supposed to be about, the cop Carl, I believe that's his name. The wife and the family. Urkel just being an extra, neighbor, whatever. But then the whole show kind of shifted to him. And the rest is history. Family Matters was one of those shows that I really, really, really enjoyed. Part because you have Full House and you have Family Matters. And then, obviously Perfect Strangers. Now, there's one that just said just the 10 of us. And I'm trying to remember because as well, even though I'm trying to remember, because a lot of these shows I can't top of my head to be like, oh man, I kind of forgot the name, or maybe I do remember the name. I just do remember the premise. So just the 10 of us is another one. It's interesting because also the famous TV, how can I say, news show or whatever report in 2020 was on Friday. And guess where I got a lot of my smartness from? 2020. No, 2020 had that interesting thing. For those people out there, you already know that 2020 means perfect vision. So 2020 was kind of part of the block, even though it was not comedy. It was the news kind of, reports and so on. So 2020 was a very legendary show for me as well. So once again, these shows, as time, and we're talking about early 90s, there was a one that it was called Going Places. I might not remember. Baby Talk was one that I do recall, and it was okay. That was the one with a baby, a talking baby. And I believe Tony Johnson did the voice of the baby. But the show didn't last that long, so I'm kind of little interesting step by step. Because then at this time, I believe Full House was moved to Tuesday, because Full House became ABC's #1 show, if I'm not mistaken. So it was put in like kind of on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And then Step by Step came in. Step by Step is like step sisters, brothers, whatever, step family. So it's one of those things, kind of like you could say a little modern version of Brady Bunch, perhaps. But it's one of those things that I kind of enjoy that show. We have Camp Wilder was another one. But the one that was kind of odd, and I kind of enjoyed it but did not last long, was Dinosaurs. So Dinosaurs is basically, a show of dinosaurs. It was kind of puppets or whatever it is. And they had this little baby, who's your mama, who's your baby, something like that. For those people who remember out there, Dinosaurs. And I always kind of remember, because the show didn't last long. And it was a show that was kind of, how can I say it to you? It was a family show, but it was kind of like hard to like, well, okay, what can we do next? You know what I mean? A bunch of people dressed in dinosaur costumes, kind of like the Flintstones in a sense, but just, you got to watch the show. It's kind of interesting. If you ever see Dinosaurs, put it in Dinosaurs TV show. And I always kind of remember the last episode because it was a little bit interesting because, it is dinosaurs, but, the show, whatever, with the storyline of a family. But the end of the show, it looks like the father's looking out the window and they see the meteor and basically they just say, well, I guess this is the end. You know what I mean? So that's an interesting one as well. As we continue with the TGIF Friday block. For those out there, Boy Meets World. Boy Meets World was another classic show, kids, school kids, whatever it is. I know, and I think that they made one with Girl Meets World, I think recently with with the kids or something to that effect. Sister obviously was another one. Hanging with Mr. Cooper. I enjoy hanging with Mr. Cooper. That's the one with the basketball guy. I think he was a basketball player, and then he decided to be a. I kind of forget. Sometimes I forget the premises of some of these shows, and people be like, "Well, damn, I thought you was doing research on it." I love to do research, but at the same time, I love to kind of just go deep to my memory bank and say, "Wow, I remember. I do remember hanging with Mr. Cooper. I believe it went to another different network after that." And, as you get older, once again, step by step, hanging with Mr. Cooper, we talking about in the mid-90s. By the time that, let's say in the late 90s, or at least 96, 97 is when, as I'm getting on, I'm a teenager. Then I also was a homeless teen. So I didn't watch that much. I know that Sabrina the Teenage Witch was a big show. Clueless, based on the movie. For those girls out there, that remember Clueless, basically. Girls that are clueless, but funny. Boy Meets World once again, but Boy Meets World, it's going a little bit different because now the kids are looking more a little like young adults than just teens, so they kind of changed the time of that. Step by Step, I know Step by Step lasted a while. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Teen Angel, I don't know. And boy, it's funny because Boy Meets World, and I believe that Sabrina the Teenage Witch, that's time passion because these shows being on TV for like 2 or 3 years. Again, this is a time where these teenagers are turning to young adults. Then the TV shows start to change the theme of kind of like from teenage issues to kind of like young adult issues. So definitely kind of interested. But for me, that's what I remember the most. They had 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place. By this time, I'm done. The Hughesleys, that's another show, D.L. Hughley. But once again, at this time, it's like TGIF Friday for me. It's like, whatever. But I do remember Family Matters, again, Full House. And for those people out there who grew up in the 90s, late 80s, 90s. Yes. Indeed, ABC, looking forward for those Friday night, 10, 11, 12 years old. Oh, my goodness. And then sometimes, you either have my mother or somebody would give me like $5. And I'll rack up $5 on candies. I was living next to where there was 3 bodegas where I was living. 3 bodegas next to each other. And they all specialize on something. Now, the one that was what I would call, or what we call the middle, was the candy store. Was the one that had all the candies. It was smaller of the other 2, but they just basically had a lot of candies. And that's when I rack up the Now Laters, the Jolly Ranchers, the Chico Stick, the sunflower seeds. I mean, my table, this is what I would do. Friday night, my table, I had this table, was piled up with candies, chunk sugar. Jesus Christ, I don't know why I did that, but I did that. That was me on a Friday night. And then sometimes I go to sleep at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Keep in mind, we're talking about in a time that there was no internet, no nothing, just straight up TV. But TV was good. But TV was, how can I say to you? It was very informative. You learned something, even with these shows. 2020, I geeked for 2020. Investigative, journalism. That's the name I'm looking for. And then, once again, it started changing. Obviously, TGIF was not the same after the 2000s. Because, 2000, it just, once again, cable became a thing. Friday more like, because keep in mind, this block of ABC shows that were competing. There were other shows which I would love to talk about. There CBS and NBC was trying to compete as well, trying to get into the Friday. Because look, in a time back then, again, TV was more instrumental, and it was something where at least TV and TV shows put family together. That's why they had these family shows. So even me, hey, listen, I watched it with a couple of my, my sister, my brother at one time, but it was more for the most part, because I'm the youngest. It was me alone watching these shows, racking up on those candies. Oh, let's go. Sorry about that. I had to take a little bit of water here as I'm doing this beautiful podcast. But indeed, if you out there, what was your favorite TV show of this ABC TGIF Friday lineup? I don't know which one I would pick. I would say that, how can I say to you? Full House, Family Matters is probably the two most that I remember. Obviously, 2020, even though it's not a comedy show, but Full House and Family Matters and Perfect Strangers, the ones that kind of I gravitated to. Dinosaurs, because of how unique it was. I always remember Dinosaurs because it was definitely a unique show. Hanging with Mr. Cooper and Sister Sisters was kind of me as I'm growing up. I'm trying my best to watch, but my Fridays was a little bit different as a teenager. But hey, listen, make a comment, hit me up if you did not know also that TGIF on that lineup actually stand for Thank Goodness Is Funny. Woo! Let's get it. You already know how at your boy. It's the legendary Deconstructing Topic podcast, and I'm out once again. Make it happen. Enjoy all the good stuff and go back to the YouTube and watch all these shows and give you that nostalgia feeling like, hey, my goodness, my Fridays was so cool. Friday was definitely cool. But anyways, I'm out of here, my folks. Take care, and I'm out. Peace. I'm out.